Hi, I'm Bob. We've been taking a look at Sith Lords and minions of Sith Lords. I've got a non-canonical figure and a canonical figure to show. First, we'll go with Mr. Non-Canonical himself. We took a look at Clone Emperor Palpatine and his final clone in a previous video, and this is the guy that was created to guard the Clone Emperor's cloning tanks on the planet Biss in our non-canonical Dark Empire comics. And this is an Imperial Sentinel. These guys are just big, hulking brutes. They are created with dark side alchemy, maybe even Sith alchemy, and they're injected with all sorts of chemicals during their gestation period. They're clones too, but no one knows who their template was. So he's just a big, massive, hulking character, and he's wielding a bulky vibro axe. It looks more like a staff than an axe. I like the design of his weapon. It reminds me of one of the Knights of Ren, one of their axes from The Rise of Skywalker. And we'll take a look at that Knight of Ren eventually. And the Sentinel, I like the design on the back of his robe, that fringy, frilly pattern. I don't really know what you call that design. It looks like it's in two separate layers there. And the robes look ceremonial. I don't know. Don't know for sure what the designers were going for, but he's a neat looking bad guy. I think the Royal Guard had some competition here when the Sentinels were created, and these guys were kind of like a bigger, badder version of the Emperor's Royal Guard. I wish they'd make them canon. These guys are just creepy too. They're not capable of speech or movement on their own. If you want to make your Sentinels move, you have to use the dark side to control them. So I'm going to set our Sentinel aside and take a look at a canonical figure from Star Wars. And this figure was also released along with the Imperial Sentinel in the Expanded Universe wave back in 1998. This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. And this is Thrawn as he is seen in Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy, written in the early 90s. And Thrawn, he's not a Darth Vader, he's not an Emperor Palpatine or a Governor Tarkin. Thrawn, he is a master strategist, though. He's a critical thinker. He's kind of like an evil Sherlock Holmes. He'll study the culture, he'll study the art of his opponents, and come up with very interesting ways to defeat them. And he's one of my all-time favorite characters in Star Wars. I'm glad that Disney made him canon, and I think we'll be seeing Thrawn in live action at some point in the future. And he has a non-canonical creature draped around his shoulders. That's an Issa Lamiri, and they were featured in Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy in the early 90s. These little guys could negate the Force. They could block the Force. If Luke Skywalker was hanging around anywhere that these little creatures were hanging around, he couldn't pull blasters out of hands. He couldn't do his Jedi mind tricks. And these little guys just basically made him an average Joe unless somebody blew him up with thermal detonators or blasted him. I kind of feel bad for these little guys because they're not vicious animals. I think they're very docile creatures. They're just kind of like lazy salamanders. They'll sit where you put them and they'll stay there. They're not menacing at all. They have always kind of seemed, I don't know, sloth-like to me. And I like those little guys too. But they're not canon anymore. That's okay though. I'm just glad Thrawn is. So that's Thrawn and Imperial Sentinel. And great couple of figures. I can't believe they have been in Star Wars action figurdom for over 20 years now. That's just nuts. So they both get 10 out of 10, of course, because they're bad guys, and I like my bad guys. If you like what you see here, click the like button, subscribe, and click the notification button so you'll be able to tell when this totally blind guy posts anything in the future. May the Force be with you, and hear you later.